the Vietnam-Thailand Survival Alliance, a handshake that could reshape Southeast Asia. In the modern world of geopolitics and economics, there are no permanent friends and no permanent enemies, only permanent national interests. If you look at a map of Southeast Asia, you will find two countries that are constantly compared as long-standing rivals, Vietnam and Thailand. They compete over every ton of rice exports, battle for every dollar of foreign direct investment, FDI, from multinational corporations, and vie for every international tourist. The world has become accustomed to viewing the relationship as a zero-sum contest between Thailand, the experienced tiger, and Vietnam, the rising star. Yet beneath the surface, a completely different trend is unfolding. Recent diplomatic reports and economic data reveal a striking reality. Vietnam and Thailand are quietly deepening their cooperation at a level never seen before in history. These are not merely ceremonial handshakes, polite exchanges on red carpets, or symbolic memorandums of understanding. This is a strategic partnership built on mutual necessity. In an increasingly volatile world, where supply chains are disrupted, trade protectionism is on the rise, and major powers are engaged in intense geopolitical competition, both Hanoi and Bangkok understand one thing clearly. If they continue fighting alone and undermining each other, both risk becoming casualties of global instability. But if they join forces, they can create an economic and geostrategic axis powerful enough to reshape the balance of power across Southeast Asia. Welcome back to Romaz Economic Podcast, your destination for in-depth analysis of the global economy, finance, and strategic developments across Southeast Asia. If you want to see beyond diplomatic appearances and understand the real forces driving capital flows and strategic decisions that can alter the fate of entire economies, this is the place for you. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you can be among the first to access our exclusive, multidimensional, and insightful analyses. Your support is the most valuable asset that enables Romaz to continue decoding the world of economics. Now, let's take a closer look at the strategic partnership between Vietnam and Thailand. Part 2, Easing Global Economic Pressures and Reshaping Supply Chains. To understand why Vietnam and Thailand are moving closer together, we must first examine the broader global economic landscape. The era of smooth globalization and unrestricted free trade is over. In its place, the world is entering a period of deep fragmentation where trade protectionism is gaining momentum and tariffs are increasingly being used as geopolitical weapons. Multinational corporations are no longer searching only for the cheapest labor. They are looking for security, resilience, and sustainability within their supply chains. It is in this context that the Three Connects strategy emerged, becoming the core framework and binding force behind the economic partnership of the two nations. The Three Connects strategy is far more than a diplomatic slogan. It is a practical economic architecture designed to link three critical areas: supply chain integration, cooperation among small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, and the alignment of sustainable development strategies such as the green economy and the digital economy. The first and most important pillar is supply chain integration, particularly in two of the defining industries of our era, automobiles and electronics. A closer look at the economic structures of the two countries reveals how complementary they truly are. Thailand, with more than 4 decades of industrial development, possesses an extensive and highly developed network of supporting industries and component manufacturers. It has deep experience, high technical standards, and logistics infrastructure optimized for heavy industry. However, as discussed in previous podcast episodes, Thailand is increasingly challenged by an aging population and rising labor costs, which are gradually reducing its attractiveness for large-scale FDI expansion. Vietnam, on the other hand, is a young and dynamic economy with an abundant workforce, rapid technological adaptability, and an exceptionally favorable geopolitical position for exports to major markets such as the United States and Europe. This advantage is reinforced by a wide range of next-generation free trade agreements, including the EVFTA and CPTPP. However, Vietnam's weakness lies in its relatively low localization rate and still developing supporting industries, with a significant portion of materials and components still imported from abroad. When these two economies become interconnected, something remarkable happens. Instead of forcing foreign corporations to choose between locating in Thailand or Vietnam, they can now adopt a Thailand plus one model, or vice versa. Complex, high-precision components can be manufactured in Thailand's long-established industrial hubs, such as Rayong and Chonburi, then rapidly transported to modern assembly plants in Vietnam's Haiphong or Bac Ninh provinces, where companies can take advantage of labor efficiency and direct access to global export markets. This partnership transforms the two countries from direct competitors into an integrated manufacturing ecosystem, a comprehensive industrial platform with the scale and competitiveness needed to rival any production center in the world. Beyond industry, another revolution is quietly taking place in the agricultural sectors of both countries: the emergence of an agricultural alliance centered on rice. For decades, international media have portrayed Vietnam and Thailand as fierce rivals in the global food security market. Every harvest season, traders and policymakers from both countries have engaged in intense price competition to secure contracts from major importers, such as the Philippines, Indonesia, and various African nations. What has been the result of this race to the bottom? Rice prices have often been pushed to extremely low levels. Importing countries benefit from cheaper food supplies, while farmers in Vietnam's Mekong Delta and Thailand's Isan region bear the burden. Their profit margins shrink, and many struggle to earn enough to sustain future production. The decision by both countries to sit down and discuss coordinated management of rice export pricing represents a historic shift. Together, Vietnam and Thailand account for an enormous share of global rice trade. When the world's two largest rice exporters stop undercutting one another, they gain considerable influence in shaping the floor price of the international agricultural market. This cooperation helps stabilize profit margins, strengthen regional food security, and, most importantly, improve the income and living standards of millions of farmers. It is the essence of a pragmatic economic alliance, transforming destructive competition into shared prosperity. Part 3. Balancing power and ensuring regional security. Economic development cannot remain stable without a secure geopolitical environment. Both Vietnam and Thailand occupy some of the most strategically important positions in Southeast Asia. We live in an era where strategic competition between major powers, particularly the United States and China, is creating difficult dilemmas for middle-sized nations. The pressure to choose sides and align with competing power blocs weighs heavily on the foreign policy decisions of governments throughout the region. Against this backdrop, leaders in both Hanoi and Bangkok have recognized a fundamental truth. If Southeast Asian countries remain divided, and if each nation seeks protection from a different major power, they risk becoming mere pieces on someone else's chessboard. In that scenario, ASEAN itself could be weakened and marginalized. To avoid such an outcome, strengthening the Vietnam-Thailand diplomatic axis may be one of the most effective ways to preserve ASEAN's central role. As two of the region's largest economies, with significant military capabilities and substantial political influence, the alignment of Vietnam and Thailand provides a strong foundation for the broader regional order. When these two nations speak with one voice, ASEAN's principles of independence, strategic autonomy, neutrality, and respect for international law carry far greater weight. Such unity makes it more difficult for outside powers to employ divide-and-rule tactics or exert disproportionate influence over smaller member states. Beyond the broader geopolitical arena, security cooperation between Vietnam and Thailand is also critical for addressing two pressing regional challenges: the Mekong subregion and the South China Sea. Let us begin with the Mekong River, the lifeline of more than 60 million people in the lower basin. Today, this legendary river faces some of the most severe challenges in its history. Climate change is causing prolonged droughts, while a growing network of large upstream hydropower dams is disrupting water flows, altering natural river patterns, reducing sediment deposits, and damaging aquatic ecosystems. Both northeastern Thailand and Vietnam's Mekong Delta are suffering significant consequences from saltwater intrusion and freshwater shortages that threaten agriculture, livelihoods, and daily life. If acting alone, The voices of Thailand or Vietnam in calling for greater transparency in hydropower data sharing or responsible water management from upstream countries would carry limited weight. However, when the two nations establish a united front, combining their diplomatic capabilities and leveraging international platforms such as the Mekong River Commission and the Langkang-Mekong Cooperation Framework, they can generate sufficient political and legal pressure to encourage all stakeholders to operate hydropower projects responsibly and ensure ecological water flows for downstream communities. The second front concerns security, safety, and freedom of navigation in the South China Sea. Although Thailand is not a claimant state in the South China Sea, it has enormous economic interests tied to the region. The South China Sea serves as a vital maritime corridor and a gateway for Thai exports to reach East Asian markets such as Japan, South Korea, and China, as well as destinations across the Pacific Ocean. Any instability, military conflict, or unilateral attempt to impose rules in these waters would immediately disrupt shipping routes, drive insurance and logistics costs sharply higher, and directly threaten Thailand's export-dependent economy. For this reason, Thailand's support for Vietnam's position on resolving disputes through peaceful means, adhering to international maritime law, and promoting the adoption of a code of conduct in the South China Sea is, in reality, an act of protecting its own core national interests. This shared position creates a strong security framework that safeguards the trade lifelines of the entire region. Part 4. Advancing transportation infrastructure and integrated tourism. Any economic or geopolitical strategy remains merely theoretical if goods and people cannot move efficiently between countries. Geographically, Vietnam and Thailand are not far apart. However, for many years, inadequate cross-border transportation infrastructure through intermediary countries such as Laos and Cambodia created invisible barriers that slowed commercial activity. As a result, the expansion and full realization of the East-West Economic Corridor, EBUEC, has become a major infrastructure priority for both governments. A closer look at how this corridor functions reveals its strategic significance. Both countries are investing heavily in upgrading highways and railway networks that connect Thailand's major industrial centers through Laos, directly linking them to Vietnam's central provinces and ultimately to deep-water ports along the East Sea coast, including Vung Ang Port in Ha Tinh, Tien Sa Port in Da Nang, and Quy Nhon Port. What is the economic significance of this network? For Thailand, its northern and northeastern regions are located far from major southern ports, such as Laem Chabang. The East-West Economic Corridor provides a shorter route, allowing goods from these production hubs to move eastward and utilize Vietnam's deepwater ports for exports to massive markets in East Asia and North America. This can save thousands of miles in shipping distance and reduce logistics costs by millions of dollars annually. For Vietnam, the corridor transforms the central provinces, traditionally less developed than the northern and southern economic centers, into vibrant international logistics hubs. It also opens new pathways for Vietnamese goods to penetrate the domestic markets of neighboring countries. Alongside the movement of goods, the movement of people is also being optimized through a transformative strategy in the tourism industry, the two countries, one destination model. As we know, both Vietnam and Thailand are global tourism powerhouses. Yet for years, they viewed one another primarily as fierce competitors for international visitors from Europe, North America, and East Asia. That outdated mindset is now being replaced by a smarter philosophy of cooperation. Instead of trying to outcompete one another, why not combine their strengths to create a tourism package that is simply irresistible? Thailand possesses a long-established global tourism brand, a highly developed entertainment and nightlife industry, and Suvarnabhumi International Airport, which welcomes tens of millions of travelers every year. Vietnam, meanwhile, offers the appeal of an emerging destination featuring breathtaking UNESCO-recognized natural wonders, a rich cultural and historical heritage, and world-class beach destinations such as Phu Quoc, Nha Trang, and Ha Long Bay. As integrated tourism strategies are implemented, travel agencies from both countries will work alongside airlines to develop seamless travel packages. International tourists, especially high-spending visitors traveling from distant continents, will only need a single ticket and a streamlined visa process to enjoy the vibrant urban energy of Bangkok or Chiang Mai before taking a short flight of just over an hour to relax on the tranquil beaches of Da Nang or Phu Quoc. This approach achieves two objectives simultaneously. It extends visitor stays and increases average tourist spending across the region, while transforming the entire Vietnam-Thailand corridor into one of the most attractive integrated tourism destinations on the global travel map. Part 5, Conclusion and Future Outlook. In conclusion, if we carefully examine the rapid developments in Vietnam-Thailand relations in recent years, one fundamental principle becomes clear. This relationship is built upon an exceptionally pragmatic and realistic foundation: healthy competition combined with mutually beneficial cooperation. The two countries are not joining hands because of sentimentality or an abstract notion of friendship. They are doing so because it represents the most effective path towards survival, accelerated development, and shared prosperity in the increasingly unpredictable world of the 21st century. The combination of Thailand's strength in supporting industries and Vietnam's youthful, dynamic economy, together with their shared commitment to Mekong water security and South China Sea stability, as well as their efforts to unlock transportation infrastructure, offers a powerful solution to the middle-income trap facing both nations. Thank you all for joining today's in-depth analysis on Romaz Economic Podcast. We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. In your view, what will be the biggest obstacle facing this strategic partnership in the future? Don't forget to like the video, share it with fellow economics enthusiasts, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss an episode. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you again in our next analysis. To help provide a broader perspective, let us take a deeper look at the key reasons behind the growing cooperation between Thailand and Vietnam. To truly understand the essence of this relationship, we need to break down the 4 strategic pillars that currently support both economies. The first pillar, the 3 Connects strategy. The most fundamental pillar is the 3 Connects strategy. At its core, the strategy focuses on integrating supply chains in $2 billion industries, automobiles and electronics, while creating greater connectivity among small and medium-sized enterprises and aligning both countries' transitions toward green and digital economies. Its greatest advantage is that it eliminates isolated competition. Instead of forcing a major technology company to choose between Hanoi and Bangkok, the two countries now combine their strengths to create an integrated production ecosystem. Thailand supplies high-quality supporting components, while Vietnam serves as an assembly and export optimization hub. This partnership enables both countries to maximize FDI inflows and elevate their global competitiveness to an entirely new level. The second pillar, the Rice Alliance. The second strategic pillar brings us to the field of food security, where the Rice Alliance is reshaping the rules of the global market. The concept is simple but powerful. The world's 2 largest rice exporting nations coordinate pricing strategies and manage export volumes together. Previously, competition between the two countries often triggered a race to the bottom, driving down rice prices and directly harming farmers. The alliance's primary benefit is ending this destructive price competition. When Vietnam and Thailand act together, they gain significant influence over pricing in international agricultural markets, protect national profit margins, and most importantly, ensure fair and sustainable incomes for millions of hardworking farmers. The third pillar, geopolitical security. The third pillar focuses on a broader challenge: geopolitical security. The two countries are increasingly aligning their diplomatic positions to preserve ASEAN's central role, while coordinating efforts to protect the ecological sustainability of the Mekong River and maintain freedom and safety of navigation in the South China Sea. The strategic importance of this cooperation lies in its ability to create a stable balance of power for middle-sized countries facing growing pressure from major global powers. Within the region, greater unity allows both nations to speak with a stronger voice in protecting freshwater resources in the lower Mekong Basin and safeguarding the maritime trade routes that pass through the South China Sea, reducing the risk of economic disruption caused by external geopolitical tensions. The fourth pillar, infrastructure and tourism. The final strategic pillar the one that gives economic growth its wings, is the combination of infrastructure development and integrated tourism. Specifically, both governments are investing heavily in the East-West Economic Corridor while promoting an innovative tourism model known as two countries, one destination. From a trade perspective, this infrastructure minimizes overland logistics costs and creates the shortest route for goods from Thailand's inland regions to access global markets through Vietnam's deepwater ports. From a services perspective, instead of focusing solely on attracting tourists to their own countries, both nations are transforming the entire region into a unified travel destination. International visitors can enjoy the modern urban appeal of Bangkok alongside the natural beauty of Phu Quoc or Da Nang within a single journey, enabling both countries to maximize revenue from high-spending travelers.